The WPKY Saturday Morning Quarterback Show is on the air on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, and WPKYOnline.com. Time to take a look back at last night's Caldwell game. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
Good morning, everyone. This is Saturday Morning Quarterback here on WPKY. The Tigers opening the season last night out at Tiger Stadium, but falling 24-3 to the Christian County Colonels in that opener. In the studio with us this morning, we've got Tiger head coach Will Barnes, also coaches Jeff Riley and Aaron McClung in the studio with us today as well. And guys, thanks for coming in. And Will, first of all, tough opener for you guys, but what's kind of your thoughts now after thinking about last night's game from last night until this morning?
Yeah, going back and kind of thinking about things, watched a little film, and, we had some chances to cut into their lead and miss those opportunities, but I thought we gave pretty good effort for the most part, and there's a lot of things we'll be able to look at on film and correct going into next week.
Well, when you look back last night, like you mentioned, there were some chances to maybe score some points and do some things, and to me, the key point of the game came late in the second quarter when Christian County put up that second touchdown, made it 17-3 right before halftime, because it was 10-3, and I thought you guys kind of had the momentum right before that.
Yeah, we put together a good drive there in the second quarter to get down there to kick a field goal. And then, with them getting the ball coming out of halftime, it was really important to try to get a stop there and weren't able to. So, a little bit of a missed opportunity there. But, again, defensively we played well enough to win the game. I felt like we just couldn't put together enough offensively.
Coach McClung, what was kind of your impressions of that first game last night?
Well, it wasn't a surprise. I knew we had a lot of young kids. I didn't know anything about Christian County because I haven't watched film with my new job. But I knew they were going to be physical because they always are. I was impressed with some of the young kids. I saw some kids that got an opportunity last night that I didn't really know much about that played well. I know we had some kids missing, and that gave some other kids an opportunity, some older kids that didn't have a lot of experience, and that gave them a chance to play last night. So, overall, there were good things. It was a typical first game kind of. I don't know that there's a lot of in 2012 we played in the state championship. Well, we lost the first game to Callaway County.
Yeah,
and Callaway won like 3 games all year. So that first game is not always a great indicator as how the season will turn out. And if the kids will just keep working, it'll end up fine.
Coach Riley, what was kind of your thoughts on the defense last night?
I thought we looked good at times. We got to shore up some spots in the run game. We've got to, make sure we execute the call. I haven't watched the entire film, but kind of sat there and watched part of the first half. There are some key guys that have a lot of experience that didn't always execute when we made the call. We missed some contained opportunities. We've got to get our inexperienced outside linebackers some experience, and they got to learn when to come up and close and how to take on some of those blocks. And we just got to get some reps and kind of get it figured out. I like our kids. I think our kids are tough kids. I think they're going to respond well. I kind of look forward to Monday, kind of seeing how it goes, and hopefully we'll get a little leadership and come back ready to work and hopefully give Massillville a run for their money.
Well, one thing last night, you guys had a lot of guys going both ways, and Will, I know that's something we typically haven't done at Caldwell County a lot.
Yeah, especially on the offensive and defensive lines. We were a little short-handed there, so Drew Davis and Elijah Shaheen and Angel Long were playing quite a bit of offensive line. So, again, that's not something we really want to do because we want those guys going full go on defense and being really well rested. But just with the situation we were in last night, those guys had to play quite a bit on offense too. So, hopefully, we can get back to getting those guys some rest here in the next week or so.
Final score last night was Christian County 24, Caldwell County 3. We're going to talk more about that as we continue here on Saturday Morning Quarterback. Stay with us here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too, because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Fall is just around the corner. Lowe's has what you need to change with the season. Like our new lower prices on select bagged mulch starting at $2.88 per bag. And American Gourmet 3-burner gas grills was $149, now $129. Fall together with Lowe's this Labor Day, in-store and online. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, selection and product availability varies by location. Valid 8/19 through 9/8, U.S. only. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Your WPKY is brought to you by Cozy Living Interiors and Boutique.
UWPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast. We've got that rain sticking around for most of today. 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms here this afternoon. Mostly cloudy with a high near 87. Then tonight, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms remains, mainly before midnight. Mostly cloudy with a low of around 71. Sunday, it's going to be hot and sticky. Mostly sunny with a high near 89. And then Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 68. Monday, it's a little bit warmer. Sunny with a high near 92. And then Monday night, mostly clear with a low around 71. Tuesday, sunny with a high near 83. Tuesday night, mostly clear with a low around 72. And it does look like the chance of rain re-enters the area around Wednesday morning.
The Saturday Morning Quarterback Show continues on WPKY. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
Caldwell County opening the season last night with a 24-3 setback to Christian County. Welcome back to the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show here on WPKY. Coaches Will Barnes, Jeff Riley, and Aaron McClung in the studio with us today. And glad those guys could all come in. And Will, again, going back to last night and thinking about that game, and I'm always kind of interested in how you guys approach the film situation, and how soon after a football game do you guys get to kind of dissecting the contest?
Really, for me, it just depends on how tired I am and what all went on and all that. So I went home and watched a little bit of it before I went to bed, and that's kind of, sometimes I'll just kind of watch it before I go to bed, and then really look at it, this afternoon and into Sunday.
Really got off to a tough start last night, I thought. Christian County got the touchdown and then kind of got you guys backed up on field position, and then we had the turnover, but I thought a bright point there was had the turnover deep in your own end, but able to hold them to just a field goal and kind of keep yourself in the game.
Yeah, we were in bad field position there where we weren't offensively, didn't have great field position, and then defensively weren't in a good spot either. So could have very easily given up a couple of touchdowns there, but held them to a field goal, and that's big. When you can just give up a field goal on those short fields, that kind of keeps you in the ball game there early in the game.
Did it feel to you guys that maybe we were just a little slow starting and maybe a little tentative, and it took us just a few minutes to kind of get up to game speed against a Christian County team that has some pretty good athletes?
I definitely thought so. It just seemed like we didn't wake up until about the second quarter. It seemed like in the game that the calls didn't seem to break our way. When I looked at the penalty total, they had one more penalty with a few more yards, but it just seemed like the penalties that we got were really harmful penalties, like the horse collar early in the game. I think that kept their first drive going, and it definitely seemed like we weren't catching some breaks that we needed early in the game to get our momentum. It seemed like in the second quarter we really had a lot of momentum. We just couldn't finish the drive. But
yeah, I thought that was a key last night. It seemed like we were able to get some yardage, and I think we had 10 first downs in the contest, but just couldn't make those pay off with points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But it's a good sign. I mean, I didn't go to the Owensboro scrimmage, but the Owensboro Catholic scrimmage, we really struggled running the ball. So 2 weeks later, we ran the ball pretty effectively, I thought, last night.
A little different look out of the Tigers last night. Will, you guys came out and hauled it up a bunch, and I'm not sure the last time I saw a Caldwell County football offense in a huddle.
Yeah, John Bruce was the white hat of the game last night, and he said, well, I guess you guys will be no huddle the whole game. And I said, no, it'll be a little bit different. And so he was surprised. But, again, playing as many guys as we had to last night both ways, and just feeling like we could play pretty good defense. We kind of wanted to shorten the game and hopefully possess the ball a little bit and have some long drives, and that's kind of how what our game plan was. And we were able to move the ball, just couldn't got down there inside the red zone quite a few times, and couldn't get away with any touchdowns.
Well, one stat last night that you guys won, and this is something we used to always kind of laugh about the other way, but time of possession, you guys had the ball for almost 30 minutes out of a 48-minute football game.
Yeah, and again, that's what we wanted to do. But when you have 3 turnovers to go with it and a blocked punt, that doesn't bode well for you.
Well, I know that you guys really want to get the football and go with it, so how much is this kind of affecting the way you want to call plays, not being able to go fast?
It is a little bit of a change for sure, but we've been working on it this week in practice some. So once we get some more guys back, we'll probably go back to what we've been doing. But I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. But I felt like that's what we needed to do to give us the best chance to win last night.
Well, and total yardage, it wasn't that far off. Christian County with 303, Caldwell County with 236 yards, and you guys were able to run for 134 yards last night.
Yeah, and we had a lot of guys up front that have never played varsity football, and a couple times last night, 4 of the 5, it was their first varsity football game, really playing meaningful minutes. So those guys did a lot of good things, and Logan Smiley did a phenomenal job in the backfield and had a really good game last night.
I'm guessing Logan probably slept well last night.
I'd say so. Yeah, he had to be pretty tired. He's probably pretty sore this morning too.
Looking just kind of to piggyback off that, and what Coach Barnes said about those O-line kids that were in there. We practiced them some, we subbed them in some, but I kind of thought we looked really tired on defense there towards the end of the quarter. And I thought, well, if we're gonna put them where they're used to playing. So we just kind of put those other guys in and let them get some offensive line reps, and they did a pretty good job moving the ball. And Logan was a warrior. He battled. I mean, I thought, if you had to give a leadership award last night, that's who I'd hang it on, because I felt like he, against with an inexperienced offensive line, he was making tough runs. Sometimes a tough 2-yard run is exactly what you need to make a play successful. And he stuck it up in there, and got a couple nice cutbacks, and I thought he plugged it in all night. And he's a strong kid, worked hard in the weight room kid. But he isn't a big dude. I mean, he's a strong guy. He's really strong for his weight and size, but he's not a very big dude, and he just kept kind of plugging it in there. So that was a bright spot, I thought.
Yeah, again, the final score last night, 24-3, Christian County. But again, I thought the Tigers had some opportunities last night, just couldn't finish off a few drives, and a couple of times it seemed like we. Especially during the third quarter one time, I really thought we had Christian County's defense kind of worn down a little bit. They looked like they were huffing and puffing, but again, we just couldn't quite finish off the drive and make it a game.
Yeah, we had some, handling the snap. We had a couple issues with that, and had some negative plays. And I talked with Bob before the game. We did drives, but it's very hard to consistently have 12, 13 play drives. So when you get down there inside the 20, you can't have negative plays and go the wrong direction. We just can't afford it.
Talking this morning with Caldwell County football coaches Will Barnes, Aaron McClung, Jeff Riley in the studio. And Jeff, I do want to ask before we get any further about the golf today, the All-A Classic Second Region Tournament. Supposed to be going on right now at the Princeton Golf Club, but the weather's kind of getting in the way.
Yeah. Country Club they're going to tee off at 11 as opposed to what they had planned on at 8. So hopefully the the rain will get out of here and the course will dry out a little bit in the next hour or so, and they'll be able to get out there and knock the old ball around the yard and crown a Class A champion here before the day's over. I know Coach Staff work into this, and she's really worked hard this week and got it all set up and lined out. So hopefully here they'll get a little bit of better weather and get a chance to play about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, first time we've been able to host that here, and seems like the All-A Classic Golf Tournament schedules its events for bad weather every year. They need to find a nice sunny day to have that thing. So good luck to them, and we'll be out there covering that a little bit later on. Going back to football last night, I know you guys had some guys out, and everybody has people out, it seems like, this time of year, and especially this year. But, Will, I really thought that kind of hampered you guys in a few spots. I know the coaches, you guys never want to harp on who's not there, but it does hurt when you're a little short-handed.
Well, we're not an incredibly deep team as it is, and then when you got some guys out, you're starting to really get thin. And looking at playing guys, like Billy Wallace played some inside linebacker last night. He's really an outside linebacker and has got a few reps this summer and the last couple of weeks at inside linebacker, but that's just how thin we got there at that spot. So and he did a good job. He's a senior that has worked hard and has done some good things, but it kind of affected how we had to play offensively, but it is what it is. That type of stuff you can't really control, and you got to play with what you got.
Well, and you guys aren't overly deep at receiver either, and that was an area that was kind of hurt last night too. Yeah,
and that's another. We kind of went to the 2 tight end look. That's one reason to just have 2 receivers out there instead of 4, and our tight ends did a good job in the run game, and as we continue to get more reps with those guys, I think they'll improve too.
Aaron, maybe you can talk about some changes up front, and how does that kind of affect the linemen when you're trying to fit people in different places?
Well, Jeff is the line now. I'm
looking for your.
It definitely helps when you have 5 guys that are together, and that their ability to communicate and understand fronts. When they have consistency in your lineup, it makes a big difference. I think Jeff will tell you that. Now, one thing I know Jeff, we were pretty consistent in how we teach what we do in our drills and stuff. So some of the basic run games that they can probably plug and play, but it's difficult when you're having sub guys out, especially on short notice, and then with it being the first game, and you might see fronts that you haven't seen yet, and makes communication more difficult. It's not an easy job, but I was impressed. I thought the guys did a good job.
Again, the Tigers opening up the season last night against Christian County. 24-3 was the final score. And Jeff, talk a little bit more about the defense. How did those guys play up front last night? And where do you guys need to kind of go from here with the defense?
Well, I think from what I just watching, we've got to execute better. I think you can go position by position and you can find positive things. I think you kind of start with the D line. I think there were positive things. At times we got really good pressure on the quarterback and we're physical, and at times they were tough to block, and then other times we got good pressure on the quarterback and we let him escape, and sometimes we didn't execute the call. And you got to get those little things worked out. And I challenged those guys quite a bit last night, so I really hope to look to see this next week and we get some of that stuff fixed at practice. I think with our young inside linebackers, I think they just have to get experience. They have to kind of adjust to the speed of the game and understand that I got to read the run and play the run, and then I got to open my hips and find receivers and get underneath stuff and be active to the ball. And I think our outside guys have just got to learn to play off tackle stuff. It seems like that's where people like to attack us, is off tackle. So their job is. It's not complicated. They don't have a lot of stuff to do, but it's hard. It's hard to play, outside contain and cover the flat and then have to squeeze down on a trap and the stuff we ask those guys to do. And then you look in the secondary, those guys have got to learn that they can't get beat in cover 3, and then they've got to be aggressive, come downhill on the run and be physical. And I think we saw that some last night. I know a couple times I think Jack finally decided he was got angry and he come downhill and he landed a couple good shots, and I think that changed their passing game a little bit. And I think once we our corners kind of come up on support, and I think, Isaiah led us in tackles and he plays, cornerback. So we got good run support. Now they just have to kind of learn to go out and be physical against good physical receiving cores and high point balls and be aggressive, and we got to tackle. I mean, one thing I think we missed a lot of tackles last night. We definitely got to get that fixed. So,
well, Christian County, how did you guys kind of game plan for them, and did they do kind of what you guys thought they would?
Yeah, I think on both sides of the ball they did exactly what they did in the scrimmages. So weren't very many surprises there. That they played their base offense and defense, what we saw on film. So, that we probably had more things that they haven't seen us do than they did. So,
well, how do you kind of approach that when you guys have so many new kids out there and some of them inexperienced? How do you kind of get them ready for that first game like that?
It's
tough question.
Just you throw them out there, you throw them in the fire, and coach them up on Monday when we can watch some film. And if they'll take that serious and really look to get better, they'll get better fast. But if they just come in on Monday and don't really take it very serious and kind of blow it off, then it's going to be a little bit of a longer process.
I want to go back to the time of possession thing earlier, just because we used to always kind of joke about that you guys would put up 50 points and have the ball for 12 minutes. And Coach David Barnes always asked me how we did on time of possession, and back in the day that was always a key stat. You'd look to see who possessed the ball, but typically over the last decade that stat hasn't meant anything.
Yeah, I think people put a lot more stock in it than it's really worth. The bottom line is you got to score points, so it doesn't matter if it's a 2-play drive or a 15-play drive. The end result has to be scoring touchdowns, and if you're doing that consistently, you're going to be pretty good offensively.
Well, and that's a little something different for you guys this year, and I was thinking about that last night on the sideline. When you guys kind of got in the long-distance situations on second and third down, it was really tough to try to overcome that. And I was sitting there thinking, 5 or 6 or 7 years ago we had those really good offensive teams. 3rd and 10 wasn't really a big deal.
3rd and 20 wasn't.
Yeah. There was just as much a chance we were going to convert that 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 15 as if it was 3rd and 3. So it's just a whole different way you kind of approach the game now.
Yeah. You look at the third downs there, we were 0 of 10. So, that's and 2 of 6 on fourth down. So, a lot of those I don't know exactly. I bet are probably 3rd and 7, 8, 9 plus. And, it's obviously more difficult to convert those plays. So, we definitely need to be in 3rd and 5 or less. And we can't have mishandled snaps and penalties and those types of things where we're going in the wrong direction. We got to be better on 1st and 2nd down to if we do get to 3rd down, it's a little bit more manageable.
Well, after seeing a game now and kind of having that experience, what do you guys look forward as far as moving forward now to try to generate a little more offense?
I thought with our 2-tight package last night, we were able to do some good things. So we'll continue to do that and kind of develop a little more of a game plan off of that, and maybe tinker with it just a little bit more. Really coming into last night, we kind of thought that was going to be just a little bit of a change-up type offense for us and a short yardage package, but we were able to move the ball consistently with it, so we stayed with it. So, I need to do a better job of, adding to it, so we've got, a game's worth of stuff out of it where it's not, we're not getting really predictable.
This is Saturday Morning Quarterback here on WPKY. Caldwell coaches Will Barnes, Jeff Riley, and Aaron McClung in the studio this morning. And Will, is just kind of a case of a season where we kind of have to learn as we go. And, I talked about a lot of new guys last night and some guys that really I don't even think were expected to play a lot that got in the game. Is this just a season where we kind of, kind of a feeling out process each week as we just try to improve as the season goes along?
Yeah, and that's how it is when you're trying to break in, some new guys, especially offensively, is kind of figuring out where everybody needs to be, what kind of set you need to base out of, and you think coming into scrimmages and games, but you really don't know until you played a couple of games and have some good stats to look at, and then kind of go from there and see what you're good at, and build everything off that.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that you guys now have the video of the game to go back and look at and show the guys some stuff.
Yeah, it's stuff's changing all the time as far as technology, and you can do all kinds of stuff on our video platform we've got, and look at certain plays, how many yards you're getting on when we're running like zone right, pull up our defense against certain formations. So there's all kinds of things you can do, which is a really good tool for us to use.
Jeff, you were watching video right before we came on the air.
Yeah, I was trying to get a little bit of a jump on it. Just sometimes I have to watch it to refresh my memory. It doesn't stick in my mind like it does these other guys. So I have to go back and watch some tape to kind of get it going. It is very handy. I mean, you can watch it on your phone and you can break it down in 100 different ways. And it's sometimes I have to step back and be like, okay, I gotta, let's keep it simple so that we can break it down so the kids can see it and understand it, and not put, because you can watch every second and 4 out of a formation that you want to, but you still got to get lined up and you still got to get off blocks and make tackles, and so sometimes I don't know. I think it can go both ways a little bit, but it is a great tool to have. It's definitely superior to what it was when you had to write all that stuff down by hand and fast forward and rewind to VHS tape. Yeah. Will wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, I was going to say, you used to have to get everybody kind of together to watch film at one time, right? And now you guys and the players, you just watch it whenever you want to.
You used to have to send a young coach to McDonald's to meet somebody and trade 3 VHS tapes and a roster. And what you would do is you'd be standing at McDonald's, you'd have the tapes and the roster in your hand, and when you traded with the other coach, you would say, you have a roster, and if they didn't have a roster, you'd pull yours back.
Well, some schools were also known to shoot 2 different videos back in the day, one really good for themselves and one with a handheld video recorder that maybe you couldn't see as well that they traded. You guys
somebody we play that we think still does that.
I was going to say, if you watch a video where you couldn't really make out the other team's numbers or anything, but I still say that some teams, though, have that figured out where they can make their uniforms difficult to see on the video. I've always thought that some of them did it on purpose, but whatever happens,
There's definitely in your film practices.
I know for a fact some people cut out their fake, like if they run a fake punt, they cut out the fake punt.
That one's film. Not in there.
Yeah. It's easier now when the clips are numbered. They're numbered and you skip some number.
Yeah, you can see
where's number 12? What happened?
But I know Coach David Barnes used to go over those films all the time, and I know you guys spend a lot of time looking at them, and it really makes a difference because you pick up a lot of tendencies from those things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and like I said, with how easy it is now, I mean, it saves us a whole lot of time on the weekends, game planning and doing that kind of thing when it does a lot of those organizational things where like I have not written down any of that stuff before. I don't, that was a little before my time. So I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore.
Well, back in the day, they had to load up the old reel, I guess, and sit there and let it go.
Oh,
and
yeah,
let the team
that's
watch
way
it.
back. That's before even McClung and I got in.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some interesting stories, though, from trading films back in the day, and I always remember even when we used to do the Saturday morning quarterback show back in the day and have all the coaches in, there would always be at least one guy missing because he was on the tape run.
Yeah. That's the next thing you need to ask Pat and DT. You get them in here. They'll probably be about half of those film stories they can't tell you.
Again, we're on the Saturday morning quarterback show. The Tigers opening up the season last night, 24-3. Christian County won that one, but Coach, was it just a case of maybe a few too many athletes for Christian County last night? we've talked about how you guys were a little shorthanded, and seemed like Christian County had a lot more guys in jerseys on that other sideline.
Yeah, and you got to give them a lot of credit too. They're playing quite a bit of young guys too, and they've improved from their first scrimmage against Mayfield and their second scrimmage. They scrimmaged a couple teams in Clarksville. They've improved every week, so they're doing a good job over there. And they've got some nice pieces to build around. So I thought they played a good game, and they were obviously well prepared, and hats off to them for sure.
Well, I think they kind of took the same approach you guys did to scheduling the scrimmages. It's let's get a couple of tough teams and see where we're at.
Yeah, and I think that helped them out, and that's the idea behind our scrimmages too. Is we want to play good quality opponents and really get a good look at us.
Jeff, have you kind of looked at the scrimmages and the first game, and can you see some improvements there from each game?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of felt like we didn't. I thought we played better defensively last week against a superior opponent. I thought, just looking at what I looked at, I thought, well, we probably had a little bit better outing. I felt a little better after watching the tape than what I felt like watching a few tapes there. But I don't know that we went backwards per se, as we just have to get some stuff fixed. I mean, there's just, one of the things that you have when you play those young guys, Coach Mack and I were talking on the headset last night about some adjustments we could make, and then so you say, okay, guys, we're going to do this, and you kind of get some blank stares, and then it's not registering, and you just have to decide, well, I mean, playing our defense that we played and what we know how to do is probably going to be better than trying to scheme something up. So we're going to have to do a better job of getting those guys with some options when we get in the game and get them prepared to be able to make adjustments, and that's on us as coaches, and we'll do a better job of that. And hopefully we can come out and mix some stuff up defensively and not just have a little more weapons in our belt. But I'm stuck on this. I guess you still got to tackle, and you still got to get off blocks. And when you got a chance to make a play on the ball, you got to make a play on the ball, and it doesn't matter what defense call you make. There's Coach McClung's, one of my favorite McClung quotes is, "There's no magic defense, guys. There's no call that we can make that's just going to take away every offense. Sometimes you just have to execute what's called." It's very similar to an offensive play. So if we can get our execution down, then I think we can limit some of the things that hurt us last night defensively anyway.
Well, and I thought just standing on the sideline last night, there were some opportunities. There were a couple of tip balls that maybe could have been an interception. You turn one of those into a pick six, and it changes the complexion of the game. And a time or two, the ball was laying on the ground. And Aaron, maybe you can talk about that some. That I've always thought a football game can change on one play.
Well, it can. I mean, momentum can swing. The game is not decided by one play. But there are definitely plays that happen that can create positive momentum. Jack's fumble, that was a big one, and it wasn't a fumble. I mean, he was down, but we were driving, and that fumble, that shouldn't have been a fumble, killed that drive. So there's definitely plays throughout especially in the game. The score was 24-3. There's just three or four breaks that we could have had, and we could have easily scored 28 points, and that's just football is the best game for kids to play because you get put in unique circumstances where you either have to get tough and keep fighting or hang your head and give up. And you're gonna face struggles every Friday night. So that's why I love it so much.
Well, and I think a lot of coaches will even tell you that you can get out there and battle for 48 minutes, and a lot of times you just go back and you pick 3 or 4 or 5 plays that are kind of key points in the game.
Yeah, and you can.
Yeah.
And get worse as a result of it. So, what do you do going forward? And that's still up in the air with our football team. We can get better. We can be better on Monday because of Friday night, even though we lost. So hopefully that's what the kids we'll take from the game Friday night, and we'll get out there and play better next Friday.
Well, and going back, I think we mentioned the year we went to the state finals earlier. That season, the regular season finale was down at Mayfield, and not really a great game that night for the Tigers. And I'm not sure anybody that walked off the field that night would have thought, hey, 5 weeks from now we'll be playing for a state championship.
We thought we were going to get beat in the first round. We thought we were going to get beat in the first round of the playoffs that year because Butler had put us out the year before, and we played terrible against Mayfield. And we were first round of the playoffs. We played good enough to beat them.
Yeah.
And then we just kept getting better every week.
Well, and maybe a minute away from winning the state championship.
Yeah. Less than that, 20 seconds.
Yeah, if we just a little more time, just a little more time on the clock. I still think, Newport Central Catholic was kind of gassed, and I think we were going to go down and score, but the clock ran out. We just kind of ran out.
Todd. The clock time ran out. Right?
But that's how much things can change. But a lot of coaches will also tell you that the biggest improvements you make are from week 1 to week 2. So, that's going to make the Madisonville North Hopkins game, interesting to watch.
Yeah, and they have a new coach, and he's Chris Price, and he's a good guy, but he's a first-time head coach, and they're young and rebuilding, and I believe they got beat Friday night as well.
Yeah,
right? They
28-0.
Yeah, 28-0. So. They're kind of in the same boat as we are, so it ought to be a good game.
Union County, I think, is expecting a pretty good season up that way, and that was 13-0 at halftime, and then Union had a couple of touchdown runs in the third quarter to kind of blow that one open and win it 28-0. So, Will, that's a couple of future opponents right there coming up. So I know you guys will be watching that game at some point.
Yeah. I'm assuming we'll get that game in trade, so that'll obviously be a good game for us to watch with us playing Madisonville this week and playing Union here in a few weeks. So we'll definitely get a look at that over the weekend.
Do you guys have a feel for Madisonville North Hopkins yet, or is that something you still will look at and put together later?
Not really. We were going to play them last year and had that game canceled, so I didn't watch a whole lot of film on them last year, and then going back, I guess in 19 we scrimmaged them, but I don't know. Coach Burgett was the head coach there, and he's a defensive guy, so not sure exactly what they're going to do defensively or really offensively. So, kind of like a lot of teams we play this year, it'll be brand new.
Madisonville North Hopkins, I don't think has been to Tiger Stadium in 27 years, so. Again, that'll be interesting to see them at, and I'm not sure why we haven't played them more. We did go over there and play them in an event 10 years ago or so.
Yeah,
there was a bowl over there, and I think we ended up getting out there about 12:30 Saturday morning. We played the late game.
Yeah, we did.
I remember those things, and I think it was a pretty competitive game that night. But it just seems like, especially now we're in the district with Madisonville and just about every other sport. It's kind of good to see them back on the schedule.
Yeah, and when we scrimmaged them, Coach Bergen and I were talking, and he said, when the next scheduling cycle comes up, we need to try to get a game on the schedule. Just like you said, we play them and everything else, and it'll be a good game for us because they do a good job over there. So hopefully it's something we can keep on the schedule going forward.
Well, back in the day, there was actually a trophy with that game, a Kentucky long rifle.
Oh, wow.
I'm guessing we can't do that anymore. But
well, we took the rifle out of the trophy case about 10 years ago. With this rifle was in the trophy case, and we finally said, let's take it out and look at it, and we figured out what it was. And we said, we probably don't need a rifle. And that wasn't a rifle. It was like an old musket.
Yeah.
But we probably don't need this in school, so I got it taken down.
It's archive. It's in the archive.
I kind of miss the old trophy games, though, where you got something. Kind of like that Trig game.
Well, we have one.
Yeah, the
Trig made a trophy.
Yeah. It's the traveling trophy.
Yeah. No, I don't have any further comment.
nobody's gonna touch that one. But I do like having Madisonville back on the schedule, and talking about the schedule, it seems like you might have to try to tweak it a little bit going forward. Because we got word this week that Christian County and Hopkinsville are going to consolidate and make a McCracken County in the second region. So that's going to affect you guys a little bit scheduling-wise.
they do it going into next season. This is the first year of a 2-year cycle, so obviously we play both Christian County and Hopkinsville. So if they go into next season, playing as the new school, we'll have to do some readjusting on the schedule, and that can be kind of difficult when everybody's already got these 2-year deals lined up. So hopefully we'll be able to figure something out once they figure out how they're going to go forward.
Yeah, my math says that's going to be about 23 or 2,400 students in one school, and we already know the success that Christian County and Hopkinsville have had on their own athletically, so that's going to be a pretty impressive school once it all comes together.
Yeah, they'll be a force to be reckoned with, in a lot of sports, I think.
Well, as you look ahead, are there some schools out there that you would like to schedule that maybe like a Madisonville we used to play but don't play anymore?
I tried to work something out with Paducah Tillman, and just didn't have common dates this time. And I thought that was a good game when we were in the district with them. That was competitive, and we couldn't get anything worked out. Talked with Marshall County, couldn't get anything worked out. So there's some teams a little bit west of us that I feel like would be good games for both programs. So we'll kind of figure it out as we go, and like I said, it may be whoever we can find. If it does, in fact, we're looking for games next season.
I remember one year going up to Greene County and playing them, and that was certainly an interesting trip. At least we got to swing by Druthers in Campbellsville on the way.
We got a lot of stories from that trip.
Yeah.
Oh, really? We have time.
Producing.
I don't know if you remember, but they tried to cheat us.
Oh,
They
really?
called back like 4 straight touchdowns. I don't know if you remember. We had first and goal like the 4-yard line, and after like 3 or 4 plays, it was first and goal from the 50.
Well, that's one way to keep you out of the end zone.
We still scored.
Well, and there was a really long field goal that night.
Yeah.
Brett Seymour, I think, kicked like a 51-yard field goal up there, and that was a pretty big win to go on the road. And I really think anytime you travel that far away, you probably don't get a lot of calls from the officials. But I think that night, that Tiger team was just a lot better than that Greene County team that took the field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely a talent differential there. Yeah.
They had a pretty cool little tradition, though. Their players actually came from the locker room down thugh the stands on their way to the field, so that was kind of neat.
Our kids up. Our kids thought they were just trying to psych them out.
They warmed up somewhere else and then tried to walk in and intimidate us.
Yeah.
Oh.
So our kids were like, "Where are they at?" I was like, "Oh, guys, they must be playing mind games with you." And they're like, "Yeah."
Well, I think they were fired up until the game got going, and then they tried to, tackle some of the kids that were on the team back then. And I think it became apparent pretty quickly that was a pretty good Caldwell County football team.
That was a very good team.
Oh, we got McClung and I, and was it Brad who was in the truck with us? We actually got to be in their homecoming parade coming into town. That was pretty good. Pretty good.
We accidentally got in the back of the parade.
Oh, wow.
So they were cheering for everybody, and they were cheering for us. And when they realized that we weren't, they started.
Yeah.
Well, one of the big topics
good.
for discussion, at least online, since we've heard about the Christian County Hopkinsville consolidation, is what the new school is going to be called. I've thrown out Edgar Casey High School. I think they could be the Edgar Casey Mystics.
All these other consolidations, it will probably be a very generic nickname.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think they have a chance to do something special, though, and I thought McCracken County had that same opportunity, a few years back, and they picked Mustangs, which was, a little interesting because Muhlenberg County had just gone through the same process and had just picked Mustangs, a few years earlier. So I kind of like the unique nicknames,
Yeah. Christian County Mustangs. That's what you have to be when you consolidate.
Well, and, we've always been the Tigers, and I think that goes back to probably 1911. I think that nickname probably comes from correspondence from Madisonville. One of the first games Princeton High School ever played was over at Madisonville, and, again, it was the second or third game maybe Caldwell County or Princeton High School back then had ever played. Madisonville had been playing a few years, and, of course, as they said back in the day, dope was that Madisonville would run away with that one, and it ended up being a 6-0 game. And so there was a nice letter from the folks over at Madisonville saying, you guys should be proud of your football team. They fought like tigers. So I don't know if that was ever officially adopted, or if on that day local football teams became the Tigers, and it's just been that way ever since.
That's a pretty cool story, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good reason to have a mascot name.
I've gone back and tried to find if there was ever an official declaration of, the school's going to be called the Tigers, or if that just stuck. So I really don't know. So
I like this. It just stuck, Todd. I like that story.
Yeah.
It just stuck.
And we're playing Madisonville next week, so there you go. It all comes full circle. Going into the second week of the season, and we talked about guys being out last night. What is kind of the injury situation with the team right now?
We'll kind of assess really today some guys from last night, make sure they're all right through the weekend, and then we should be getting some guys back going into next week. So, really won't know anything from coming out of the game last night. Had a couple guys banged up, and we'll kind of assess how they're doing over the weekend and make a game plan on Monday.
Thought we had a pretty good crowd out at Tiger Stadium last night for that opener. Of course, last season at this time, we were still just hoping we'd have a season, but, COVID kind of hurt everything last year as far as having a season and getting people in the stands. But it was really nice to look up and see a lot of people there, and hopefully more will come out this week. And COVID is still around, and there's still some issues that everybody's having to face, but it was nice to kind of be back at least a little bit to normal.
Yeah, and having more people out there, and not having to, the players could have as many family members and friends that they wanted to come. So, that was a big deal last year, making sure all of our players were taken care of. So, it was nice to see everybody out there last night.
Jeff, talk about some of the things that are still kind of in place as far as people buying their tickets and coming out and watching the game.
Well, that's individual game tickets will be bought on a Ticket Leap link, and when you come to the gate, the ticket takers will have an iPad or their cell phone, and your name will be on that. They can check off your name, or they can scan your ticket. We've sold some football passes, like season tickets that'll for just the face value of the ticket. That'll put you on a pass gate, and you'll just tell them your name or have an ID, have your name, and that'll get you in. Of course, we still have a few chairbacks, so I don't know if I have to go over the list. I didn't look at the list of who all came last night, so we have some chairbacks that are available if somebody would like to purchase a chairback. And if you purchase one this year, you'll have first dibs on it next year. But in talking to Coach Kukihiko and some of the ticket takers, I thought everything, Coach McClung said he thought everything went pretty well last night at the gate and didn't have any big, there may have been a little confusion, but I think they kind of got it worked out. So that's kind of how we'll continue. COVID-wise, there are no real outdoor restrictions. There's some recommendations. Obviously you want to social distance when you can, but there are no mask mandates outside. With our first home volleyball game coming up next week, you'll have to wear a mask while you're in the game. We'll do Ticket Leap for that as well. We've had a couple volleyball passes that we've sold. If people are interested in kind of bypassing the Ticket Leap process, they can buy a season pass from Coach Mack or myself at school. So my soccer games have gone pretty well, kind of similar process, Ticket Leap, and you can get a pass or however, we'll get you on the list. So hopefully there wasn't any confusion last night, and if people are interested in still kind of purchasing passes and stuff like that, they'll just call the school, and Coach Mack and I'll get your work taken care of.
Jeff, you and Aaron both kind of have new roles that you're kind of fulfilling now at the ball games.
Yeah, he's got a big new role.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's very busy. Doesn't seem like you can ever really get ahead. There's always something new pop up, and when Mr. Roach came in as superintendent, I think that I don't think he would have shut me down on the idea of coaching, but I knew I couldn't do it. It's just too much. It's just too big of a commitment. It's hard. It's not coaching, but it's I'm coming to the end of my career, and I'm trying to make sure I can take care of my family and the rest of my life. And but I still love football, and I still love coaching, and the job. Working with high school kids is great. There's a lot of good kids out there, and to be able to share their high school experience with them and get to know them as their principal and see them out in the community, it's really an awesome feeling. Not very many people get to do it, so I consider myself very lucky to have this opportunity to serve the parents in our community. So, but not coaching football is it's very hard. I 1984 in some capacity. So that's a long time.
Well, you're not out there all the time, but you never really get away from it.
No. From it, and I hang out with these guys, and I talk football, and I still watch some film. I just got to take a step back, though. These guys are great coaches, and they need to do their thing. So I want to step back and let them do their thing, and my first principal, and then if I can help them with football, I will. So.
When Pat Gates and Dennis Tomick were in on my show Thursday, one of the things we talked about was if you go back even 30, 35 years here, there's always been that continuation with the coaches. There hasn't been a whole lot of turnover. And a lot of schools, it seems like they have a new coach every year. And at Caldwell, it seems like the same core group of guys have been here for a long time.
Well, everybody to maintain consistency in your coaching staff. It takes commitment from the kids, because people stay. You have good kids coming through all the time. You have supportive parents. You have community support. People that love football and want to watch football and support the football team, and a supportive administration. That's all those things are key to keeping a football staff together. And there's not very many of them out there in the state anymore. Most schools are turning over coaches. They can't get assistant coaches. The coaches that they do get aren't getting supportive, and that's why there's so much turnover. And if you look at the schools that have consistency in their coaching staff, they have all the things that I mentioned, and that's why.
Talking with coaches this morning on Saturday Morning Quarterback, the Tigers with the season opener last night falling to Christian County 24-3. Well, I don't know who to congratulate for this one, but, man, the field looked great last night.
It did.
About a month ago. Will Brown, okay.
Yeah,
it did. It looked awesome, and somebody got all the lights, replaced. So
that would be Bruce Farmer and Ben Van Hooser tackled that one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up being just a great night for football. The weather looked a little iffy when we all first got there, but it cleared off, and it was a great night to watch a football game. I'm sure some of those linemen, it was probably a little on the warm side.
Yeah, it was probably a little humid, but the weather turned out to be okay, and Will Brown's done a good job. He's worked all summer and probably had some sleepless nights thinking about the football field, and it looks really good. We've got a great surface, and Bruce does a great job, painting it, and it did look good last night.
Madisonville, North Hopkins coming to town next week. I assume you guys are already trying to get ready for that, and when the kids come in Monday, it'll be full go for Maroons.
Yeah. As soon as we get some film, hopefully, this morning into this afternoon, we'll get going on it and be ready to go when the guys get back on Monday. And we'll spend some time with Christian County and going over that film, and then get ready for Madisonville.
What were some of the positives last night you can take from that game and kind of build on that going into next week?
I think coming into the season, we were talking about playing Angel Long and Drew Davis on the offensive line, and I think we're starting to develop some depth there where we may not have to rely on them as much offensively when we get everybody back, I think we've developed a little bit of depth there with some guys that we can put out there and feel confident that they'll do a good job. And obviously Logan Smiley did a unbelievable job last night in the backfield, and had a really big game. We've got to continue to get him the ball and get a little more creative in how we get the ball to him. And I thought Jack did some good things at quarterback and ran the ball really well. So he probably needs, a few more carries than he had last night. And defensively, I think we played well, but I also think, we have a capability of playing a lot better, especially up front. So, we can be a good defensive football team, and if we'll get in there, like we said earlier, and watch film and be honest with ourselves and use it as a tool to get better, I think we'll put a better product out there next Friday night.
Well, and you mentioned Jack Stevens, and that's another kid that was out there for a whole lot of plays last night and ended up with an interception on defense and some big hits on the defensive side of the football too.
Yeah, and it takes a lot to play every single snap, and I think Russ Bashir kind of didn't get enough recognition, and people didn't realize how tough that really is. And Jack did the same exact thing last night. And if you look at what Jack does in the off season, he doesn't miss a workout. He works out on his own. He does what you're supposed to do in the off season, so that he can withstand playing both sides of the ball. So really proud of his effort, and he'll continue to get better on both sides, especially defensively. Last night, I think it really started to click with him where he was flying around and making plays. So he's just going to continue to get better too.
Well, and that's a Christian County team that I think they want to run a lot of plays. It's kind of like we've been in the past where you guys are probably looking to run 80 plays.
Yeah, they tried to force some tempo on us, and I'm sure once they saw, our defensive line playing offensive line, that probably played into it even more, trying to push the tempo and trying to wear us out a little bit.
Well, guys, I appreciate everybody coming in and being on the show this morning. Jeff, good luck with golf today if we can get that played out there.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we can get it in. Looks like maybe the rain's gone away for a while, so keep our fingers crossed. And because like I said, Coach Stallings and her crew have put a bunch of work and time and effort getting this thing going today. So hopefully the rain will get out of here and they'll get to have their golf tournament and everything will go great, and the Tigers will win the Class A region. And Lady Tiger, the Lady Tiger too.
Yeah, the Lady Tiger.
Yeah.
and Aaron, I'm going to keep calling you Coach if that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Most of the kids still call me that anyways.
Oh, well, see that you never get away from it. You will always be Coach.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks, and good luck to you guys next week. Madisonville North Hopkins at Tiger Stadium. We'll have the game for you here on WPKY, but try to get out there if you can and watch the Tigers. I think this team's just going to get better and better as the season goes.
Yeah, I think so too. And we've got a great bunch of kids, and if we'll keep playing with great effort, we'll get better, and things will go our way.
All right, that's going to wrap us up this morning. That's Will Barnes and Jeff Riley and Aaron McClung. This is Todd Griffin. Thanks a lot for listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, Princeton, Kentucky.